Hi guys, welcome to the relationship spread or X spread or on and off relationship spread. So let me explain to you how this works. I have developed this spread and initially I called it Cat Tarot Knows About Relationship Spread, but it got named by you X spread. Basically it is taking me through various categories, and let me explain to you what these categories are and why I'm choosing them. You're going to see in every reading these cards are lying down on the table, and this doesn't mean that the cards are exactly pulled out the same for all of the signs. It simply means that I'm trying to figure out what is in these categories and what is referring to your relationship. And by actually finding all these elements, I will be able to find out the quality of your relationship and project the future trajectory. So the very first card that I have in this spread is the Magician. The Magician, being a number 1, is the number of creation. It is somebody who really want to create something, but it's just like in a phase of thinking. It would be very much like when we show up for work and we are just starting to plan our day, but we are yet not putting our hands on it. It is somebody who really believes that he has all the tools, but he has to figure out how to use those tools. So in this category, I will be trying to figure out what tools your relationship has been given. So it is kind of like a very latent position where maybe you're not using them, maybe you are overusing them, maybe you never got the tools that can make this relationship working. So in this category, in your toolbox, I find out if this relationship basically is ever a starter. The next card I have picked is Temperance reversed. So Temperance is a really great card in the upright position. It talks about things meeting all the needs. So at the right time, in the right place, with the right person, with the right feeling, and it's kind of like that in the zone moment. Now it basically talks about balance. It talks about creation. Look at the fire is creating, like the flowers are growing. But when it's reversed, none of that is happening. So things are not coming together. People are not coming toward us. They are not understanding us. So in this category, I'm trying to figure out what glue your relationship needs. What are the items that you need to work on? Then in my personal readings, I also compare these two categories in the end just to see if you can actually surpass these pluses and minuses or what can be done. Then I'm taking Queen of Wands as a significator for one partner, and please disregard that this is a fire sign generic representation, because in this case I really want people to see themselves as the best possible. Because if, for example, this is an on and off relationship, you do want the person to come back to you and to think about the best you can achieve, and that's basically what happens. People don't come back to you hoping for the worst you are. So this is basically representing one basically partner or female partner. You pretty much know from the storyline which one it is. Then Eight of Wands is basically lots of things happening here. So Eight of Wands is going to come as a communication and energy between you and your partner. This is going to tell me if he or she will call, what kind of issues are happening behind the surface, and what really was the nature of the communication or of silence. Then Nine of Wands is representative of, let's say, for X relationship, because Knight of Wands is almost more important than King, because Knight is the one who is being sent to represent, to show off, and sometimes they're just showing the power when they're being sent to a battle. So in tarot, if this is representing your partner, you want to see your partner galloping toward you and not just sitting and waiting for the partner to be served, which kind of is the case of King of Wands. I will, however, use King of Wands for steady relationships, for some people kind of get in the rut and want to see what is going on, because then King of Wands is more appropriate in that situation. Then I have Judgment card. Well, Judgment card in some decks is being called Karma card. I consider both Judgment and Justice Karma cards. This one actually more so, because this one really talks about bringing the old things to the surface. And so I'm looking that line in time for your relationship and seeing what kind of things are surfacing. And this doesn't have to mean only about your relationship, because we are set of a sum of different life trajectories, and sometimes our buttons are being pushed, so that means something from the past has resurfaced. So two resurfacing things at the same time combined with the outside influence is what is creating a relationship. And I really want to see how is that positioning happening and what can be done with this. And lastly, the last category would be Four of Wands. It is a category of moving to the next level of happiness, of, you know, from liking each other to starting to go on a date, from dating someone to go in a serious relationship, from serious relationship to getting engaged, and so on. This is also going to tell me about the quality of your relationship, and also is going to be able to define if you should continue with that. So guys, now when you know what cards would mean, it's going to be much faster for me and easier for me to actually guide you through the categories. So for detailed explanation, you can also check on my website www.cattarot.ca, and please also via my website as well, you can get your own personal reading, which supersede any of the readings on the site, because it's only your vibration and not the vibration of many. Thanks very much. Love you. Hi Taurus, welcome to your monthly relationship and X features. So if you guys skipped through the preview, then you probably know these cards. If you don't know why these cards are out here, please go back and learn about it, because these are significators that are going to tell me about a certain category. Also, this is a general reading, and it may or may not apply to you, and for your really personal situation to really know, it is the best to get personal reading, and you can contact me www.cattarot.ca. These readings are $50. They're still on the special. And lastly, I'll be doing this around the first week in every month, so that way every week you have a new issue, and I'm not doing this stressed out around the first, where I have to do monthly, daily, and weekly, and so this way it is much better. So we are going to start from the second week, and so second week is going to be the first week, and so on, and we are going to end up with the first week in July. Okay, and these cards are taken from a different deck, so we are going to see the same cards over here, which kind of is even reinforcing the meaning. So let's jump in. The first category, guys, is your toolbox. The first week, second week actually in June. So what is basically this bringing for your relationship? So Taurus, this is probably the card that you hate to see. It is like kind of getting out of a cold, feeling, you know, maybe finally tapping into resources, maybe finally finding what is the ground, or if you have an issue with your partner, this is kind of like tapping into possibilities. It's finally seeing probability of moving forward. And also this is kind of card of poverty thinking. Maybe you have been affected financially. Maybe that is kind of affecting how to work within your partnership and how to see your partner, because you have your own aura chipped. So let's see what needs basically fixing. So King of Swords, this is talking about gaining clarity, talking about dealing with things through analysis, kind of figuring things out, putting them all and kind of sifting through them, And this can actually also affect your finances. It can affect emotions. But King of Swords is somebody who definitely has intellectual superiority. So it is like asking for you to actually start assuming that position, because it looks like maybe this was just kind of like instinctual, and reaction was instinctual instead of being strategic. So again, there are two significators, and it could be either of you here, guys, and it can also actually appear as a third person, so you will know the best. And I really hope you're going to show me that in your comments and give me your feedback as well. So how are you seen? Well, this is kind of really interesting, and kind of that came up also, I believe, for Aquarius. It is kind of card that some people say, oh, this person is so bored here. Well, I more or less see either this person is picky, if I want to use a negative word, or like person really knows that something better should be on the horizon. You see, the person is rejecting this and this and this, and even the special offer is still kind of like not sure about what to do about it, kind of crossed with hands and saying, nah, maybe I need to wait for what I really need. But in any case, you can be seen as a multifaceted individual to your partner. Maybe how they experience you is somebody who is maybe rejecting what they have to offer. So let's see here what kind of like is the energy and communication in the first week. Well, King of Swords and Ace of Swords. Now this is really interesting, because this is the card talking about the truth is not being told, and there are some kind of lies. And maybe this is why somebody or you are not taking an offer, because you're understanding that maybe you don't have all the facts, maybe you don't know the entire situation, and maybe somebody's omitting to tell you the truth, and you really need to figure out how to deal with things, and that's why there's this hesitation. So how is partner feeling about him or herself? Like they have the 8 on 8, so they kind of have issues with communication. It's either delayed, or it's not happening, or they're not expressing love, or maybe they're like messages that they're not kind of hitting the spot. It's almost like when I see this, which in the upright situation is communicating. So communication is like somebody is telling you things that are not true. Let me put it bluntly. And you kind of know it, and you're not accepting it. And hence is this feeling, oh my gosh, is this still kind of lasting? Is it still really here, that I have to feel like with this person I'm always kind of stuck? There is like this feeling being left in the cold. And when do we move ahead from there? So what is karma here saying? The Fool reverse, the karma is saying don't be foolish. So it looks like instinctively you know that. Instinctively you know that you really don't want to go in a situation where there is like no comfort, where you feel that you're building the future on a bunch of mistruths and lies and things that are really not contributing your best well-being. Kind of really, what's the point kind of, attitude. You kind of do want this person, but at the same time you kind of like are trying to figure out how do you actually survive to be a better person, to be a better contributor to yourself and to your own life. So as far as relationship, here is telling me like this I consider, along with the Queen of Swords, reverse the breakup card. So there is tension for sure, and it could be on multiple levels. You have like sort of like bookends, fives, and fives are very unstable energy, and this in particular five of swords, because it is connected to the communication and to what needs to be done. So some kind of balance has to be restored here, but not so much the balance, but sort of the truth. Like things have to be dealt with, and they cannot be dealt with unless you know what they are, unless they are not being spoken, or unless somebody is trying to present them as something different. This can also mean that there was interference in the relationship, right? We see the two other people and somebody kind of feeling really smug, and maybe somebody feeling that they are getting away with these lies. They are getting away with kind of feeding you, and that maybe you or somebody needs to take it. And hence karma is laughing at it, saying this is kind of really foolish to think that way. So let's see the week after. Well, here in your toolbox, again, we have Pentacles, which is your energy, Taurus, and it's kind of like embarrassment. It could be self-embarrassment. It could be that you are feeling like kind of stuck in a situation, and this can also mean that somebody's juggling, again, the two people, and it's kind of connected with resources, which kind of this card here as well. And it is kind of putting a question mark on how would this really work? How would this go from day to day? Am I able to continue this, or this is going to be really difficult for me? So what needs to be fixed over here? Well, you know, this is the feeling of self-doubt. Like lots of things here, I see it happening on a mind level, and you're spending time feeling that some kind of injustice, and that is kind of making you really is placing you in a really negative state of mind. And this is talking about re-experiencing fears and understanding that things didn't really go well. And it's like that feeling when you cannot sleep and you are kind of going through it's the hardest part of a day, is like falling asleep when you're just like completely left alone with those thoughts. And it's basically advising in this category that you kind of like have to try with kind of self-empowerment and move from this negativity to kind of strength. It is kind of course easier said than done, but when basically this card appears, you have to understand this kind of like twisting around these thoughts. It's karmic connection. Please check my other channel, Sapphire Dreams. It's in the description box. You can link to it, and to see how to actually do this cutting course meditation, which kind of is cutting these repetitive thoughts, these circling thoughts. And it's basically really calling you here to move from fear to possibility, to understand that this is not the end of the world. And 9 is the last stages. It's kind of finalizing kind of like this discomfort. So how are you seen? See, you are seen as harsh. So you may be seen as somebody also who is not a pushover, because this is kind of like a no fear and somebody who is not afraid to communicate. So now we have like these two air symbols. So it's going to be really interesting, because this is not your element, Taurus. You're like really earthy sign, and this is kind of like strong, harsh energy. But sometimes, like when people push us with their lies, then we become awkward. We are really not who we are. And I would not be surprised to see Devil card coming out, because that's kind of like what happens when other people kind of want to tell you about illusion and try to make us accept that illusion. So the communication here, well, communication is sort of like wishful thinking, I would say here, and it's still a hope that things can work out. It's like we have, you know, almost, let's say, desperation, because it goes from trying to go from the worst to the best, and you know that this is a process. This is not one step here. And also maybe you may cut through things and establish that certain things you're not going to tolerate, and that maybe if this juggling, if maybe there is a third person interfering, you're not going to tolerate this, and you don't want to feel this way. And maybe this is going to bring to some kind of conclusion of, okay, well, I have to figure out what makes me happy. Your partner is, again, I see it, repetition, manipulator. King of Cups is generally somebody who is really nice, kind, generous. But when it's reversed, it's somebody who is controlling, emotionally controlling, who really talks to you about things that don't exist. They paint this big picture for you, and the picture really doesn't exist, and they kind of lure you like with that, oh, come on, you'll be happy with me. There's this carrot on the stick, but carrot does not exist. And this is telling me, look, you kind of like have enough with this. I think you're tapping into it because this is the realization and the sadness over, well, why I'm not getting to that carrot. And it's understanding, okay, wait a minute, this whole game was not fair. The whole game is foolish. And you know, there is somebody who is master manipulator in this game. And this also can talk about addictions, and in particular alcohol addiction, but it can be anything from sex to drugs. So what is karma saying here? Karma is saying, well, You guys, this was a test. This whole relationship was a karmic test, and you have written it for yourself. What did you learn from it? Because it's not supposed to move forward. Try to figure out what you learned here. And because it looks like the learning is happening here, there is like 2 nines. It is like the final stages of realization. So see, what you're not supposed to, you're supposed to learn here, like Page of Cups, is like, what is the romance and what isn't. So this is kind of coming over here to say, well, this is possible, but maybe not with this person. You have to figure out, you see, in every relationship is really beneficial, absolutely. So if you don't get what you want and this whole happiness, you certainly learn what you need to learn. And this is telling me that you guys are certainly learning how not to go and what not to have and what to have. This kind of like a relationship was really important. So let's see the last week in June. We have a Magician and a Magician. So after the 2, like I mean, strikes again, this is a good one. So this is kind of still not manifestation, but it's certainly a good start. That's why it's number 1. What do I do with this? How do I go from here? And knowing that you can manifest whatever you want. Now the question is like, who do you want to manifest it with? So let's see what needs to repair. See, you have the Judgment card reversed over here. And this is saying, tie up the loose ends. Do not think like this anymore. This is saying, look, this is going to continue only being worse. Because when Judgment comes reversed, it talks about past things keep coming back. You know, this rule of 3, like everything comes back in 3s. This can be more than 3, just keeps coming back and circling because the issues are not being addressed. Somebody's just behaving the way they want and they're a manipulator. So how are you seen at this stage? You see, you're seen as maybe a little bit stuck, maybe stuck in making the decision. You still have feelings for this person, but at the same time you cannot, and you're still trying to turn blind to the facts, because you know this kind of talks about secrets. You're still hoping that you can figure something out that can help you resurrect this whole situation. And it is definitely being torn between the choices. It could be 2 partners, it could be that you're asking somebody else to make a decision, or that, you know, there is a crossroad in some kind of progress. Communication here is, yeah, this is why, guys, you're not going ahead. Because look, you have 6 of Cups, pardon me, and this is it. Like, I mean, you are linked to this partner because, again, the carrot on the stick, they have painted such a great picture of your future, of 2 of you together. They are great storyteller, and you went for it, hook, line, and sinker. You went deep, and it could be somebody from your past. It could be somebody who you really fell for earlier in your life, or it could be somebody who is really keeping a prominent place in your memory. And hence it's really hard for you to make a decision, because even though on the surface there are all these bad things happening, you still have this place that you're falling into, which kind of is a nice and soft spot, and the reason why you fell for them. And this is holding you, but this card is also saying you're stuck on something that is supposed to be a passing emotion. Just kind of like you have to reassess if you are romanticizing your past. So your partner is King of Wands reversed, definitely manipulator, definitely. So no wonder you're harsh with them. You are really going to tell them off. You will, Taurus, even though you're still kind of maybe debating within yourself, they are not going to realize that you will really give them peace of your mind. Because look, I have all this kind of reversals over here. King of Wands could also mean that somebody is in a serious relationship with somebody else, that there is somebody who is married as well, and somebody who is just definitely not telling the truth. And look, he's just looking his own interest, looking away. There we go, Queen of Swords, right? So Queen of Swords and King of Swords, we definitely have the elements of cold justice, cold intellect stepping in. This is a master communicator. Well, this maybe was really harsh here. This kind of was a semblance of really, I need kind of to get the facts, I need to know what's going on, cut through the fog. Here it was like blurring it out, really kind of unfiltered, but here it is like filtered approach and saying, you know what, I don't like what I see. And this is really cutting through the truth again. So as much as like this is like not being able to make a decision when, you know, you are really being approached with this person again with some kind of sweet, and this can be somebody who just comes and sweet talk you. It's a booty call, and instead of saying for what it is, they're actually representing to you as, again, syrupy picture of the future, and you will basically have nothing to do with that. And you see, it's by cutting off basically tumor, cutting off what doesn't work, that can bring you security, that can bring you finally ability to build your own happiness, to go and strive. 10 is like beginning of new phase, but also is ending of the other one. So it's ending of all these nightmares, it's ending of this fake illusions. So finally reaching this decision, and it's going to be liberating. So Taurus, let's see the sneak peek into July, the first week in July. Yeah, you guys made the right decision. By walking away, that's the right decision. Because look at this. You're a Taurus. Look at how many pentacles you have here. So this is saying, yes, the decision that you made was to cut through the secrets. You just got fed up with this, right? And you're moving on. Look at you going from 10 to 1. So the phase finished, the new phase is starting. And this partner here is like now showing up. All of a sudden, now they want to jump on basically this kind of system and kind of work on it. But you kind of like already seen through them. The Queen of Swords is somebody who gets it, who gets through you. It's like X-ray vision. So look, in your toolbox, it's walking away. This is not working for you. It's somebody's walking away, most likely you. Look, it has to be something better for you. This manifestation is happening, but not with this person. And you're allowing the life just to take over. The Hanged Man is like, okay, you know what? I've been through it. This hasn't been right. And maybe it doesn't feel good about it. I have to get over it, but I will let life go, because if I just continue on this path, it's only going to generate more, basically, disaster. You're a little bit burnt out, and again, you're faced, again, it could be a third person, or it could be just understanding of what kind of great imbalance that caused and how you were taken off your own path. So of course, this is usually the case when one party is withdrawing, the other party just immediately wants to go and chase after them, which is happening here as well. But look, you have the Sun and you have the Moon reverse, so it's everything that cannot exist, because this is like a natural couple, but it's a natural couple that kind of doesn't belong together because they're reversed, right? So it goes from everything to nothing. However, it's not nothing, because you guys are finding out what is to make you happy, and what you have, you are creating your definition, what goal you want to go to, and then you're starting to build it. And that's why you had the Magician here. But in order to build it, it's not with this partner. You have to move ahead, and you have to move ahead with building it with someone, not so much with this manipulation and syrupy, but sort of like a very pragmatic, down to earth. What do we want to accomplish together? What do we want to build? What kind of life we want to create? So Taurus, I would love to get your comments. I would like to know how is this impacting you. So hopefully you're going to communicate it to me. That really means a lot to me. Please like, share, subscribe, and join Facebook as well, because I'm putting some kind of different kind of aspects and teaching tarot there as well. And lastly, get your personal reading from me, because the situation could be completely different for you. So until the next time, all the best. Take care. And I love you.